Okay. You all know that living organisms react to some changes around them or in the surrounding or in the environment. For example, if you touch a hot plate, you suddenly withdraw your hand from that. Why? Because you can't touch that hot plate. Your brain is giving you a message that if you should not touch that hot plate, it's danger for you. So you're withdrawing your hand. So what is that heat? Heat is a stimulus around which and you're withdrawing your hand. That is the response or the reaction. Okay? All living organisms respond and react to the changes in the environment around them. The changes in the environment to which an organism react and respond are called stimuli such as light, heat, touch, smell, cold, etc. These are the examples of stimuli: light, heat, touch, smell, cold, sound. Suppose a beam of light is entering your eyes, so you suddenly close your eyes. Why? Because that light is a stimulus and you are giving the reaction by closing your eyes. You cannot touch the hot plate or any hot object because that heat is also a stimulus. Suppose you touch any object, you can suddenly know that whether it is hot or cold. Smell also, for example, if your mother is cooking food in the kitchen, you can easily detect it what type of food your mother is cooking by its smell. Suppose you touch any cold object, ice or something, you will know that it's cold. That is stimulus. Sound. You cannot hear very loud sound of the speakers and all. That sound is also speakers. You suddenly close your ears, okay, by listening to the sound. That is the reaction. Both plants and animals respond to stimuli but in a different manner. Means animals and plants both will respond to stimulus like heat, touch, smell, cold, etc. but in a different manner because plants are very different from the animals. Control and coordination in animal is done with the help of two main systems. In animals, control and coordination is done with two systems: nervous system and endocrine system. Coordination are of two types. One is your hormonal coordination, other one is nervous coordination. Hormonal coordinations are done by the hormones which are present in our body, and nervous coordination is done by the different nerves present in our body. Okay, so let's start our discussion with nervous system. Control and coordination are provided by nervous and the muscular tissues. Okay, we have nervous tissues and muscular tissues in our body. So control and coordination is provided by which tissue? Nervous and muscular tissue. Nervous tissue is made up of an organized network of nerve cells or neurons which is specialized for conducting information via electrical impulse from one part of the body to another. Now we'll read how nervous tissue is made up of. It is made up of nerve cells or neurons, okay, which is what is the function of that neuron? It is made special. Why? Because it can conduct information via electrical impulse, means through electrical impulses, electrical messages from one part of the body to another part of the body. Means the neurons are capable of sending the message from one part of the body to the another part of the body by electrical impulses. Next we'll talk about receptors. What are receptors? These are specialized tips of some nerve cells that detect the information from the environment. Receptors are some part of the nerve cells which detect the information from the environment, from the surrounding. These are located in our sense organs. You all know these are our sense organs. So these receptors are located in our sense organs. For example, ear. It acts as a phonoreceptor. Ear acts as a phonoreceptor, means it will receive sound. Eyes. It acts as a photoreceptor. It will receive light. Skin. It acts as a thermoreceptor. We can feel the temperature. Nose. It acts as an olfactory receptor, sense of smell. Through our nose we can detect the smell. Tongue, it acts as a gustatory receptor, means we can taste the food with the help of the tongue. Tongue helps us to taste the food. So these are the receptors present in our sense organs. Our next topic is neuron. Okay, this is very important. Drawing is also very important and its function is also very important. For your exam point of view, drawing is very important. You can get a question from this topic or the diagram of neuron. Okay, now we'll see what is neuron. It is a structural and functional unit of nervous system. You have to remember this definition. Very important definition. Structural and functional unit of nervous system means structural. It provides structure to the nervous system and it also gives function to the nervous system. It helps to do the things for the nervous system. Structural and functional. Now we'll see what are the different parts present in the nervous system. It consists of a cell body. First part is cell body, next one is dendrites, third is nucleus, next is axon, and the last one is nerve endings. 5 parts it has. Okay, cell body, dendrites, nucleus, axon, and nerve endings. It is the largest cell in the body. Okay, in our body, neuron is the largest cell. Now we'll see the diagram of the neuron. See, this is the diagram of the neuron. You can see the nucleus present in the center. This is the cell body, and these branch-like structure are called dendrites. The joint between these two structures is called axon, and the roots present at the end are called the nerve endings. This is a diagram of neuron. You should practice this diagram. Very important for your exam. Now we'll see the different functions of the parts of the neuron. First one is cell body. So what is the function of the cell body? The central portion of the neuron that contains nucleus is called a cell body. Central portion of the neuron which contains the nucleus is called the cell body. You can describe easily the structure of neuron. Central portion of the neuron that contains the nucleus is called the cell body. You have to remember that in the cell body, nucleus is present. Dendrites. The cell extensions which are shorter, branched and more numerous are called dendrite. The cell extension, the cell body has extensions which are shorter, branched and more numerous are called dendrite. They receive information from other neuron and transmit it towards the body. What is the function of this dendrites? They receive the information from other neuron and it will transfer the messages to the cell body. Next one is axon. It conducts the message away from the cell body and transmit to another cell. Means it will receive the message from the cell body and the message is transmitted to the other cell. Next is synapse. What is synapse? The gap between two nerve cells or two neuron is called synapse. Sometimes question is asked. What is synapse? Sometimes they will tell you to write the definition of synapse. Then what you will write? The gap between two nerve cells or neuron is called synapse. Here, what is the function of the synapse? Here, electrical signals are converted into chemical signals for onward transmission. In the synapse, what happened? Electrical messages are converted into chemical messages or chemical signals for onward transmission, for the transfer. Okay, so this is the neuron and this is the structure and explanation part. You can write with your own also. You have to describe about the cell body, about the dendrites, axon, nerve endings. At last, you have to write about the synapse. Next, we will start with reflex action. What is reflex action? Reflex action is quick, sudden and immediate response of the body to a stimulus. Okay, it is a quick, sudden and immediate response to a body to a stimulus. For example, knee jerk, withdrawal of hand on touching hot object. We have seen that example, that when any hot object or hot plate is there, we suddenly withdraw our hand. We do not touch that hot plate. What is that? That is a reflex action, our quick and sudden action of our body towards the stimulus. Now we'll see what is stimulus. Stimulus is an observable or detectable change in the external or in the internal environment to which an organism reacts. What is stimulus? It is a observable or detectable, means we can see that or we can detect that, and it can be present in the external or in the internal environment which an organism reacts towards the stimulus. What we do? We used to react. We used to show our reactions. Next one is reflex arc. The pathway through which nerve impulses pass during reflex action is called reflex arc. It is the pathway or the passage through which nerve impulse pass during the reflex action is called reflex arc. So these definitions are very important for your 1 marks question. You can get the definitions, write the definition of stimulus, write the definition of reflex action. Next, our next topic is the 3 types of response. We have 3 types of responses. Okay, so what are the 3 types of responses? Voluntary action, involuntary action and reflex action. Voluntary means which are under our will, which are under our control. Involuntary, which are not under our control. We don't have any control on that. Okay, the first one is voluntary action. These actions require thinking and are performed consciously. Okay, these actions require thinking and are performed consciously. These actions are controlled by forebrain. Okay, these actions are controlled by forebrain. For examples are talking and writing. Suppose you don't want to walk. You will not walk, you will sit at your place. But if you want to walk, you will suddenly come out of your room or your home and you started walking. Suppose you don't want to write any notes or any chapter, or you don't want to solve any sum. you will not do that. But when you have interest, when you want, you are will to do, you are willing to do, that time you will do that. You will start writing also, you will start reading also. The voluntary actions are those actions which are under our control, and these actions are controlled by what? Our forebrain. Involuntary actions are the automatic response to stimulus which are not under the control of brain. Okay, these actions are not under the control of the brain. Example, these are controlled by midbrain and the hindbrain. So you have to remember, voluntary actions are controlled by forebrain, involuntary actions are controlled by midbrain and the hindbrain. Examples: heartbeat, vomiting and respiration. For example, vomiting. You don't vomit with your own. Okay, suppose you want, your body will tell that vomiting is not under your control. If you want to stop that vomiting, you cannot stop that vomiting. It will be. Heartbeat also, we cannot stop it. It is the involuntary action performed by our body. So these are the examples of involuntary action. Next is reflex action. What is reflex action? It is a spontaneous response of a part of a body. Messages are sent to the brain from muscles glands to a stimulus which is controlled by spinal cord. Example, withdrawal of hand on touching a hot object. We have seen this this example. When any hot object is there, we suddenly withdraw our hand. That is our reflex action. So what is reflex action? Spontaneous response of our body. Messages are sent to brain from muscles glands to a stimulus which is controlled by the spinal cord. Suppose any hot object is there, our brain will suddenly send a message to our muscles and we will suddenly withdraw our hands, and the glands now, and in our body so many glands are there, they will also send messages to the stimulus and will withdraw our hand, and these are controlled by what? These are controlled by the spinal cord. Next, need for reflex action. Why there is a need of reflex action? In some situations such as touching a hot object, pinching, etc., we need to act quickly. Otherwise, our body would be harmed. Okay, suppose any hot plate is there or any hot rod, hot object is there. If you will touch that object, what will happen? Your hands can burn, your body will get damage, your body will be harmed. Okay, in such situation, what happens? Response is generated from the spinal cord instead of brain. Okay, in that cases, the response or the messages are generated from the spinal cord instead of brain. In this way, time for taking action is reduced, which save us from injury. Okay, whenever you see any hot object, that time spinal cord will send messages, and that time we will withdraw our hand. It saves our time and will save ourselves from the injury also. Next topic is human nervous system. Okay, now we'll see what are the parts of the human nervous system. Human nervous system consists of two parts. One is the central nervous system, CNS. Another one is the peripheral nervous system, PNS. Now we'll look at the parts of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system also. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. These are the two parts of central nervous system. Remember, okay? Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves, which arises from the brain, and spinal nerves, which arises from the spinal cord. Okay, peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Cranial nerves arise from the brain and spinal nerves arise from the spinal cord. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system consists of spinal nerves and the cranial nerves. Now we will start with the very important topic of this chapter, that is human brain. Very important, very important. Sometimes in your exam you will get draw the structure of the brain. You have to draw the diagram. Sometimes they will ask you to write the function of forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Sometimes you will get for 5 marks question, explain the structure of brain with its working and function. Okay, so you have to write the full thing in that. Brain is the main coordinating center of the body. Okay, what is that? Brain is the main coordinating center of the body. It is a control unit of our body. Everything is controlled by the brain. Okay, for example, any office is there, the head of that office controls the full office. Okay, or suppose your school principal controls the whole school. Like that, the brain is the main part of our body which controls the whole body. It has 3 main parts. What are the 3 main parts of brain? Forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. In this diagram also we can see this part is called the forebrain. Okay, this center part is called the midbrain and the hindbrain is present over there. Okay, forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Now have a look on the brain structure. This structure in the forebrain, what we have? Cerebrum, cranium, we call it at skull. It protects the brain from any injury. Okay, cerebrum we have, midbrain is there, hypothalamus, pituitary gland is present. Hindbrain has two parts, pons, medulla and cerebellum, and this is called the spinal cord. Okay, hindbrain has three parts, pons, medulla and cerebellum. Okay, now we'll start with the forebrain and its function. It is the most complex or specialized part of the brain. Okay, it is the most complex or specialized part of the brain, means it has many different types of functions. It consists of cerebrum. This is cerebrum. This is the part of the forebrain. Cerebrum. You have to remember it is the main specialized part of the brain. It consists of cerebrum. Now we'll have a look on the functions of forebrain. The first function of forebrain is thinking part of the brain. It is the main thinking part of the brain. Controls the voluntary actions. Okay, all the voluntary actions are controlled by forebrain. Stores information, memory, our memory power. It is also controlled by the forebrain. Next is receive sensory impulses from various parts of the body and integrate it. What does this forebrain do? It receives the sensory impulses, sensory messages from different parts of the body and integrate it, means combine it. Center associated with hunger. Okay, sometimes you feel very hungry. It is also associated with the forebrain. So these are the functions of the forebrain. You have to remember the functions of the forebrain. In your exam, you can get right the function of the forebrain. Next one is the midbrain. Okay, so what is midbrain? It controls involuntary actions such as change in pupil size, reflex movement of head, neck and trunk. Okay, so this midbrain contains involuntary action and forebrain contains voluntary action. Involuntary action such as change in pupil size, reflex movement of head, neck and trunk. Next part is hindbrain. It has three parts. We have already seen in the diagram, cerebellum, medulla and pons. Now we'll look at the functions of cerebellum, medulla and pons. This is also very important in exam. You can get the questions right, the function of cerebellum, medulla and pons. Cerebellum, it is responsible for precision of voluntary actions and maintaining the posture and balance of the body. Example, riding a bicycle, picking up a pencil. So what is the function of this cerebellum? It is responsible of precision of voluntary actions, which are under our control, and maintaining balance and posture of the body. These are the important function of cerebellum. Example, riding a bicycle, picking up a pencil. This we can do when we want to do. This is not controlled by our body. When we want to do, that time we can do these things. Next one is medulla. It controls involuntary actions such as blood pressure, salivation, vomiting, respiration, etc. Involuntary actions are controlled by medulla. Pons. It controls involuntary actions, regulation of respiration. Okay, pons also control involuntary action and it also regulate our respiration. So these are the function of cerebellum, medulla and pons. Now we'll see the protection of brain and spinal cord, how it is protected from injury or any attacks. Okay, brain is protected by a fluid filled balloon which acts as a shock absorber and enclosed in cranium, skull or brain box. So how brain is protected? It is protected by the cranium. We have seen in the diagram. It is also known as skull or brain box. Spinal cord, it is enclosed in vertebral column. Okay, spinal cord is enclosed in vertebral column. Now we'll have a quick look on this flowchart. What happens in this? See, this is the stimulus. Stimulus, it will be detected by our sense organs like our nose, ear, skin, etc. Then what happens? The sense organ will send the sensory nerve messages to the central nervous system. Central nervous system, what it will do? Information received and processes, decision made, response generated. What it will do? It will receive the information, it will make decision and again it will send the response. Then these are sent to via motor nerves. These are sent to the muscles. Then what muscles will do? Rearrangement of muscle proteins. Okay, muscles will form coordination among themselves and after that they will respond to the stimulus. Okay, after that the muscle will respond to the stimulus. For example, when any hot object is there, we suddenly withdraw our hands and all the thing, and that is the muscle which withdraws our hand and will respond to the stimulus. Now we'll start with coordination in plants. These are the movements in the plants. Two types of movements are shown by the plant: independent of growth and dependent on growth. First we'll see what is dependent of growth. independent of growth, has immediate response to the stimulus. Independent, it is not dependent on growth, has immediate response to the stimulus. Plants use electrical chemical means to convey information from cell to cell. Which medium they use? Electrical chemical medium to send their messages from one cell to the other cell. For movement to happen, cells change their shape by changing the amount of water in them, resulting in swelling or shrinking of cells. Okay, for any movement in the plant, what they used to do? The cells change their shape by changing the amount of water present in them. And if they will lose water, they will shrink, and if they will gain water, they will swell. Example, dropping of leaves of touch me not plant on touching. You have seen touch me not plant, Cuscuta. When you touch them, what happens? Its leaf closes. The leaf will close. Okay. Next topic is dependent on growth. Means some of the factors are dependent on growth also. These movements are tropic movement, that is directional movement. Response to stimulus. Tropic movement, directional movement in some direction. Response to stimulus. The part of the tendril away from the object grows more rapidly as compared to the part near the object. This causes circulating of tendril around the object. Tendril you have seen. Tendrils are the in bottle gourd or wrist gourd plants, the tendrils are there. Okay, they will grow in the direction of the stimulus. Okay. These are now we'll see the different types of stimulus. Phototropism, movement towards light. Okay, photo means light. The phototropism will move, the object will move towards the light. Geotropism, movement towards or away from the gravity. Geo means the ground, gravity. Some of the plants will show their movement towards or away from the gravity. Next is chemotropism. Chemo means the chemicals or the hormones. Growth of pollen tube towards ovule is the example. Hydro means water. Movement towards water. Some of the plants will grow towards the water also. Next we'll read about plant hormones. What are plant hormones? Okay, first we'll see what is hormone. Hormones are the chemical compounds which help to coordinate growth, development and response to the stimulus. So what is hormone? Hormones are the chemical substances or chemical compounds which help in the growth, development of the body. The main plant hormones are 4 plant hormones we have to read in this chapter. So these are the 4 plant hormones we will read and its function. Very important. Okay, you have to remember the name of the plant hormones and also its function. First one is auxin. What is the function of this auxin? This hormone is synthesized at the shoot tip. It means where this hormone is present at the shoot tip, at the growing parts. It helps the cell to grow longer and involve in phototropism, means the plant will grow towards light. Next one is gibberellin. It helps in the growth of the stem, means it is present in the stem area and it helps in the growth of the stem. Cytokinins, it promotes cell division. The main function of the cytokinin is cell division. It is present in greater concentration in fruits and seeds. So this is cytokinin is present in fruits and seeds and it helps in cell division. Abscisic acid, this is not, these 3 hormones are involved in the growth of the plant, but this is abscisic acid is an exception. It is not involved in the growth of the plant. It inhibits growth. You have to remember, name a plant hormone which inhibits growth. What do you write? Abscisic acid. It also causes wilting of leaves and also known as stress hormone. What is the other name of this hormone? Stress hormone. It is, and what is the function? It inhibits growth and also causes wilting of leaves. One more hormone you have to remember, ethylene. What is the function of ethylene? It helps in the ripening of fruit. It helps in the ripening of fruit. Suppose sometime for 1 mark question they can give you, write the name of the hormone which helps in the ripening of fruit. That time you will write ethylene. Now we'll read hormones in animals. Hormone. Again the definition of hormone is same. Hormones are the chemical substance which coordinate the activities of living organism and also their growth. Growth means hormones are the chemical substance which help in the growth and in the activities of the living organism. Next, endocrine glands. What are endocrine glands? These glands secrete their products. Which products? Hormones into the blood. Means all the endocrine glands will secrete the hormones into the blood. The list of endocrine glands with the hormone names and their functions are given below. First endocrine gland is thyroxine. The thyroxine hormone is secreted by which gland? Thyroid gland. Yes, the thyroxine hormone is secreted by thyroid gland. The thyroid is located in the neck or the throat region. It regulates the metabolism of carbohydrate, fats and proteins. This thyroxine hormone is very important for our body. If this is secreted in very less amount, we can suffer from a disease called goiter. Next one is growth hormone. It is secreted by pituitary or the master gland. Okay, this hormone is secreted by the pituitary or the master gland. This gland is located in the midbrain. It is located in the midbrain. It regulates growth and development. As the name indicates growth, so it helps in the growth and development of the body. And it is secreted by pituitary or the master gland and located in the midbrain. Next one is adrenaline. This hormone is secreted by which gland? Adrenal gland. Adrenaline, adrenal gland. Okay, you have to remember adrenaline is secreted by which gland? Adrenal gland. The adrenal gland is located above the kidneys. In the previous chapter, life process, we have seen above the kidneys some structure is there, that is the adrenal gland. It regulates blood pressure, heartbeat, carbohydrate, metabolism. These are the function of adrenaline. Blood pressure, it regulates the blood pressure also, heartbeat also, and carbohydrate metabolism also. Next one is insulin. You have heard about insulin injections. These are given to which patients? Diabetes patients. This hormone is secreted by pancreas. Okay, insulin is secreted by what? Pancreas. Pancreas is located above the stomach. It reduces and regulates blood sugar level. In the digestive system, we have seen the pancreas. It is located above the stomach, and what is the function of this insulin hormone? It regulates and reduces the blood sugar level in our body. If the blood sugar level will increase, from which disease will suffer? Diabetes. Next, we will read about the sex hormones. So, two types of sex hormones we have: testosterone and estrogen. Testosterone are present in the males and estrogen are present in the females. Testosterone, this hormone is secreted by the testes. The testes is located in the genital areas. It changes associated with puberty or sexual maturation. When this hormone is secreted, this is secreted when when a male or a boy reaches to its puberty age. Okay. Estrogen. This hormone is secreted by the ovaries. The ovaries are located in a lower abdomen area. It changes associated with puberty, sexual maturation. So both of these hormones are secreted during the puberty age. And testosterone are present in males. Estrogens are present in the females. Now we will read importance of iodine. What is the importance of iodine? This is also very important topic. Many times the questions are asked from this topic. Iodized salt. Iodized salt means the salt which we are using in our everyday life. Any salt, for example, Tata salt and Pune salt, all the salts are iodized salt. Why? Because they contain iodine. Iodized salt is necessary because iodine mineral is essential part of thyroxine hormone secreted by the thyroid gland. If we will not take iodine in our diet, what will happen? Thyroxine hormone is not secreted by the thyroid gland. Thyroxine regulates metabolism of carbohydrate, fats and protein. So we must consume iodized salt, which is necessary for proper working of thyroid gland. Its deficiency causes a disease called goiter. If we will not take iodine rich food, then what will happen? We can suffer from a disease called goiter, and that time our neck, what is the indication of this goiter? The neck region will swell. Sometimes question are asked why we should take iodized salt, or what is the importance of iodine, or why we should prefer iodine rich food. So what you will write? If you will not take iodine rich food, thyroxine hormone is not secreted by the thyroid gland, and we can suffer from a disease called goiter. Next is diabetes. Diabetes. When can a person suffer from diabetes? When the blood sugar level in his body will increase, that time a person will suffer from diabetes. So what is diabetes? Diabetes is a disease in which blood sugar level increases. Means in our body blood sugar level will increase. That time a person can suffer from diabetes. Causes of diabetes. Why diabetes is caused? The disease is caused due to deficiency of insulin hormone secreted by pancreas, that is responsible to control blood sugar. If our pancreas will not secrete insulin hormone, then what will happen?